Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Township of East Brunswick Township Council Reorganization Meeting for the year 2024. Please rise to salute the flag and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. You may now be seated.
This is nice. Came out nice.
Yes, Mark, she got a good job. Thank you.
I will proceed with the roll call, followed by the statement of adequate notice. Councilmember Hall? Councilman McAvoy?
Here.
Councilman Wendell?
Here.
Councilwoman Winston?
Here.
Councilwoman Zimbicki?
Here.
Also present, Mayor Brad Cohen?
Here.
Administrator Joseph Criscullo?
Here.
And Township Attorney Anthony Iacoca.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided as required under Chapter 231 Public Law 1975 by specifying the time, date, location, and to the extent known, the agenda, by posting a copy on the bulletin board located in the main lobby of the East Brunswick Municipal Building, providing a copy to the Home News Tribune and the Asbury Park Press newspapers, posting a copy on the Township's website, and by filing a copy in the office of the Township Clerk, which will be entered into the minutes. The first item on the agenda is Resolution 24-01, appointing the Township Council President for the year 2024. May I please have a nomination? Township Clerk? Yes?
Thank you. Thank you. President McAvoy has been a stellar leader in East Brunswick. He has a proven track record of addressing all issues with fidelity and is a consummate public servant. Kevin's characteristics of being an active and proactive listener, being inquisitive, implementing decisions with care, and a trusted public servant and passionate and active citizen of our community make him the perfect candidate to be chosen as president of the East Brunswick Township Council again. I believe the citizens of East Brunswick respect Kevin McAvoy and trust that his heart is always in the right place when making decisions for our community. Personally, I've learned a great deal from Kevin by working closely with him. He provides solid leadership to the council and is valued for his frankness, for his collaborative manner, for his ability to facilitate discussion in a productive manner, and for his proactive approach to problem solving. I therefore proudly and humbly nominate Councilman Kevin T. McAvoy for President of the East Brunswick Council.
May I have a second?
I'd like to second that. After all these years working with Kevin, in fact, I was one of the council people who appointed to be mayor, and he showed nothing but leadership to the residents, to the other council people, to the employees in town, and I am proud to nominate, I second the nomination for council president to Kevin McAvoy.
Are there any additional nominations? There being none, I will now close the nomination process and proceed with the roll call. Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilman McAvoy?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Zimbicki.
Yes.
Congratulations, Council President McAvoy. I will now turn the meeting over to you.
And thank you for that warm round of applause. At this time, I'm going to open up the dais for nominations for Council Vice President.
Council President?
Councilwoman Winston?
Thank you. This evening, it is my honor to nominate Councilwoman Dr. Dana Zimbicki as this year's Council Vice President. There's no denying her qualifications and experience as an effective leader. With over 25 years as a public school teacher before moving on to serve as the East Brunswick Education Foundation president for the last 12, Dana is the epitome of what leadership should be. Having campaigned and having worked with her for over 2 years, I myself have had a front row seat in witnessing her in action. Always mindful of who she represents and her purpose, Dana's compassion, grace, dedication, and camaraderie with all residents and stakeholders is inspirational. Her commitment to our community is relentless, whether it's clothing the poor, supporting our veterans, or celebrating the education community, and so much more. She is a willing champion for anyone she happens to meet. Dana walks the talk and would never put her ego before the common good. She is selfless and her integrity is unshakable. I'm extremely proud to serve alongside her on this dais, and if you're looking to learn how to be a better leader or a better human being, watch and learn. I do. East Brunswick is in the best of hands with her in leadership. Thank you. I hereby nominate Dr. Dana Zimbicki for Council Vice President.
I'd like to second that nomination. Having worked with Dana for over the past 3 years, 2.5 years, really didn't know much of Dana before that. Enough to say hello to around town, but we've become, listen, I highly respect everything you do and the way you work and the passion you put into everything you do. And, you know, we've become friends, colleagues, and I would love to continue to work with you and under your leadership for the next year. So I second the nomination for Dana Zimbicki for Vice President.
Are there any other nominations for Vice President? Close the nomination process. Roll call, please.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zimbicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. Before you, Council, you have Resolution 23-03. May I have a motion for the resolution adopting the minutes from the December 26th meeting?
Motion approved.
Is there any discussion for clarification purpose? Roll call, please. Oh, I beg your pardon.
Thank you.
Jumping ahead, let's,
Bible?
The oath of office.
the oath.
He's holding his own Bible.
Not the oath of office.
I do not have.
It was down that way. Does Kevin have it?
But you have given to us.
No, it got sent down that way. Do you have the oath of office?
That is not the
Do I
oath.
have it? No.
Oh, okay.
Right.
where is it? Until?
Yes.
Want down to get it?
We're going to take a short recess. We can't find the oath. Put the blame on me.
Are we ready?
I think so.
We'll be administering the oath of office first for President of the Township Council. So after me, I, please state your name,
I, Kevin McAvoy,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance to
the same, and to the governments
and to the government
established in the United States
established in the United States
and this state
and this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people,
And I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of Town Council President
of Town Council President
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my abilities,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations, Council
Okay.
President.
All right.
turn?
My turn.
Your turn. So, I, please state your name,
I, Dana Zambicki,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance to
and allegiance to
the same
the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and this state
and this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of Council Vice President
of Council Vice President
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Council Vice President.
Thank you. Now we'll get back to resolution 24-03. May I have a motion? Sorry. We're good? Try it again. Get a motion, make a motion, please, for resolution 2403, which are the minutes from the December 26th meeting.
Motion to approve.
Any second? Discussion or clarification? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilman Wendell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambicki,
Abstain.
and Council President McAvoy.
Yes. At this time, I would like to call upon Mr. David Lonsky to present our retired Township Attorney, Mr. Michael Baker, with a resolution of accommodation. Mr. Lonsky, Mr. Baker, the podium is yours.
Thank you, Council President, distinguished members of the dais and council, the mayor. First of all, Happy New Year. I want to welcome everyone. Mike, can you raise your right hand? You solemnly swear? Sorry. This is Resolution 2404 of the Township of East Brunswick. And Mike, I know it's unusual for you to be on this side of the dais, having served on that side for about 20 years between your term as council person, and also township attorney. So we welcome you to the right side and welcome you to retirement. Also would like to welcome those members of your firm that came out this evening to celebrate your evening and to congratulate you.
Getting rid of me.
Yeah, well, they've been trying to do that for years. I think the entire executive board from your firm is pretty close, right? See if we could vote on something. Resolution honoring Michael Baker on his retirement as township attorney. Whereas Mike Baker received his Bachelor of Science from Lehigh University, his Juris Doctorate from Brooklyn Law School, and passed the New Jersey State Bar in 1982, and then began his career with the law firm Hoagland, Longo, Moran, Dunstan Dukas, LLP. And whereas Mike began his tenure as East Brunswick's Township Attorney in January of 1997, and whereas he has been one of the longest-serving township attorneys in the history of the Township of East Brunswick, serving a total of 18 years. And whereas prior to becoming township attorney, Mike had served the Township of East Brunswick and the state of New Jersey for many years before. And whereas Mike served on the Township Recreation and Parks Advisory Board from 1979 to 1982, was elected and served as Township Councilperson from 1983 to 1986, and was the youngest serving council member in East Brunswick's history at that time. He was the East Brunswick Democratic Organization Chairman from 1988 to 1992, and further served as an assemblyman in the New Jersey General Assembly in 1991. And whereas Mike served as Township Attorney for East Brunswick from 1997 to 2008, and then from 2018 to 2023 among such similar service in other municipalities. I should mention during that brief period from 2008 to 18, he continued to serve as special counsel for the Township of East Brunswick. So really he's been serving our community for 25 to 30 years in that range, in that capacity. Throughout his time as Township Attorney, Mike has provided the governing body with sound legal advice and has successfully guided the Township through its most challenging times. And whereas during his tenure as a Township Council member and as a Township Attorney, Mike oversaw acquisitions of hundreds of acres of farmland within the Township for open space preservation. And whereas, as a former elected official, Mike has remained involved in politics and government, serving as general counsel to the New Jersey Democratic State Committee from 2010 to 2013, and as a member on 2 New Jersey Department of Health advisory boards. And whereas Mike is valued as a colleague and a friend to the governing body, administration, and the executive staff in East Brunswick, and I'll throw me in there too, so thank you for that. And whereas throughout his decades of service to the township, he has demonstrated exemplary performance for the Township of East Brunswick through his work ethic, leadership, team spirit, accessibility, and enthusiasm for his duties. And whereas, oh, now you're not Mike anymore, Michael J. Baker has retired a partner and a member of the firm's executive management committee at Hoagland, Longo, Moran, Dunstan, Dukas, LLP, effective December 31st, 2023, and will be retiring as the Township Attorney for the Township of East Brunswick. And whereas Mike loves the Township of East Brunswick, a community in which he was raised, and a community in which he continues to reside, and whereas Mike has made an indelible impact to our community and the lives of its residents, and whereas Mike looks forward to continuing his hobbies of farming, woodworking, politics, and travel in his retirement, now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Township Council of the Township of East Brunswick that they hereby extend their sincere and grateful appreciation to Michael Baker for his 40 years of dedication and outstanding service to the Township of East Brunswick, congratulate him on his well-earned retirement, and wish him happiness and good health in the years to come.
Thank you very much.
People watching on,
Thank you.
I think you have to vote on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, we haven't really voted on it, so it's not real yet.
We got a photo shoot on that one, Mr. Lonsky?
Let's,
We could do, did you want to vote on the?
Sure, let's do that first.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Councilman Wendell, second.
Second.
Councilwoman Winston, all, roll call.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zambiki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Photo shoot.
photo shoot.
Kevin? Mayor.
You were giving them this too?
One more. Mr. Zuckerman.
Congratulations again. So as you very well know from your time serving, representing East Brunswick in the state legislature, sometimes the sessions go long. So your current legislators are down in Trenton right now and weren't able to make this, so they asked that I present this to you. So this is a resolution on behalf of our state, really listing all of the incredible accomplishments that you have done from council and legislature, as Mr. Lonsky had said. And, not to reiterate most of it, I mean, a lot of it is
You
just...
don't have to reiterate any of it.
I won't, but I want to say, since the Assemblyman asked me to speak here,
Of course.
for me, as someone who's about to finish law school, this sentence in particular really, I thought, embodied what you are. And throughout his exemplary career, Michael J. Baker has continuously demonstrated an uncommon measure of public spiritedness, and in so doing, he's provided a model of faithful commitment worthy of emulation and set a standard of personal and professional excellence towards which others might strive. And if there's anyone to look towards as an aspiring attorney to emulate, you are definitely someone that fits that. So
Thank you.
with your immense career, I think good luck in your retirement, for
Thank
as
you,
much
Rob.
of a retirement that is.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
One more, Mr. Baker. And our township clerk, Ms. Lawful, will going to read from the
So Mike,
dais.
in honor of your outstanding services and dedication to the township, the governing body would like to honor you with a plaque as an appreciation for all you have done throughout your tenure in the Township of East Brunswick. You have made an indelible impact on our community, and we are honored to have been guided by your leadership. As you embark upon your new journey of retirement, we hope that you find this journey fulfilling. But note that you have left behind a legacy that is worthy to be followed. Mike, you'll be truly, truly missed.
Floor.
My turn, thank
Your
you.
turn.
Had some things I thought of saying tonight. First is, I started this when I was 11 years old. Don't worry, I'm not going every year. Handing out literature with my older sister in political campaigns, and it just seems like yesterday, not 55 years ago. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank my partners. I want to thank the community who came out to help me celebrate my retirement. So my parents moved here in the early 50s because East Brunswick was a place that had a good reputation for schools. It was near the turnpike, and because it was a diverse community. Now, back then, diversity was different. There were Jews, Protestants, Catholics, Irish, Poles, Germans, and Italians. Nothing like the great diversity that we have in our community today. But that's always been a strength of our community. I'm very proud of our community for that. I believe we have 27 to 30 houses of worship, and we've always been able to get along even when we had issues that we disagreed upon. We just did it respectfully. My first boss, when I was in college, told me, if you want to go into public service, take your job seriously, but not yourself seriously. My second boss, when I was a young councilman, the mayor here, Bill Fox, said, whatever you do in public service, don't put politics ahead of the public good. And I have to say, I've tried to live that, tried not to take myself too seriously, but I will tell you that there is a price for public service. Some of us suffer more than others. That is me when I started out. And I was 50 pounds lighter. I do have to say that those characteristics of not taking yourself seriously, but taking your job seriously and never putting the public interest behind politics are something that the 4 mayors I've served with, and I think I counted 24, 25 council members, have all followed. So I want to thank all of you and all the previous mayors and council members and all of the township employees I've worked with over the years. They are our unsung heroes. Our police officer is here tonight. Our emergency management director is somewhere out in the hallway. They're the folks that make government run, and you all are the folks that make East Brunswick what it is. So thank you very much.
Let's take a few comments from the dais if anyone has anything prepared. Mr. Iacocca, our new attorney, why don't you start us off?
Mike, I'd like to congratulate you on your retirement at the firm of Holulongo, Moran, Dunstan, Dukas. Mike, you've been a mentor and a dear friend of mine for over 20 years. I'm very grateful to have been able to work and learn from you. You're one of the best attorneys I've ever met, and you're just a good person who truly cares about your family, friends, and East Brunswick community. Aside from resolving legal issues, whenever there's a major life issue, my family and I will always ask, hey, what would Mike do? And we'll usually give you a call. You're the gold standard. In September of 2000, my first day at the firm, you brought me here at the East Brunswick Council for my first meeting. And here we are this evening. It's been an amazing ride, and I hope to follow in your footsteps. But the ride is not over, and I look forward to seeing what the next chapter brings. Best wishes and congratulations, Mike.
Thank you, Anthony, and the town's in good hands with you. Thank you.
I know we all said some comments on the meeting of the 26th, but Mayor?
Well, there's an Indian saying that says that the tree with the most fruit is the one whose branches are bent the lowest. And I think that's just a sign of somebody who's extraordinarily humble. But don't make any mistake about the fact that Mike Baker is an extremely intelligent, extremely committed public servant who has given decades of service to the township, and we are all the better for it. There's a saying among Jews that says that you should strive in life for tikkun olam, which is translated to leave the world better than the way in which you found it. And I think that that is exactly everything that Mike has stood for in his 40 years of service here to the township. And we're all indebted to you for it, and you serve as an example to all of us who are up here on the dais, whether they are here now or you worked with those whose pictures align this wall. But we're all the better for it, and it has made us a team and has made us a town that's extraordinarily proud of our heritage, proud of where we've come, proud of where we are right now. And like was mentioned earlier, we all don't have to agree. That's not practical. But we all need to treat each other with respect. We all need to listen to one another. And when we do that, we end up all the better for it. And you're a example of exactly what public service is about. And on behalf of, I know all of us up here and those who were here before us, I wish you a very happy and healthy retirement.
Okay, before we move on to our reports, Vice President Zambicki, the floor is yours.
I just want to thank everybody. First of all, Dana, thank you for the beautiful nomination that you gave me. It was very touching. It certainly has been a privilege to serve in this position, and each of my colleagues bring so much to this council, sharing your thoughts and your perspectives, which really embodies, I believe, the strength of East Brunswick. We are always listening, we are always communicating, and respectful of each other and everybody in this community. So I am humbled and honored to be nominated again as the Vice President of this council, so thank you.
And I would like to say to my fellow council members, thank you for your trust and support and electing me as council president for 2024. As such, I will do my due diligence to analyze each agenda and prepare with the mayor and our administrators the best possible course of action for the township and our residents moving forward. Along with the 18 municipal departments, we strive to provide our residents, businesses, and families with the best possible quality of life standards, such that we can enjoy all that life in East Brunswick has to offer. As a member of the Planning Board, Community Housing Corporation, Cable Advisory Board, I am privileged to serve our residents in various advisory and legislative capacities to help ensure that we have done our homework to enforce regulations, offer services, meet safety standards, and above all, promote a happy and a healthy environment for our loved ones. I'm proud to say that I'm your council president, and I thank you for your faith in me and your continued support of my leadership. Thank you. We can. Sure. Yeah, before we move to our report section, how about if we take a quick recess so that anyone who's been recognized so far or has given us of his time can skedaddle. Thank you. Cohen?
Thank you, Council President. First of all, Happy New Year to everybody. Hoping that 2024 brings health and happiness to everybody. I'd also like to congratulate Council President Kevin McAvoy and Council Vice President Dana Zimbicki on their roles here on the council and their approval and support from the remainder of the council members in their roles. Want to remind residents that the garbage schedule that is taking place started the new garbage schedule started on January 1. Everybody should have received something in the mail giving explanation as to how that's going to work. I know that anytime we do something new, there's a little bit of a jumpy start to that, and so we expected that. But please go back to either the Township website, Department of Public Works, and if you have any questions about when your garbage is picked up, which is now twice a week, depending upon whether you are north or south of Cranberry Road. If you don't know that, you can go onto the department website and type in your address, and they will tell you if you are north or south of Cranberry Road. The recycling pickup is every other Wednesday, and that schedule is also on the Township website. We will be distributing new bins for garbage pickup once they are received. We anticipate that should be sometime in March or early April. They will be delivered directly to your home. You will get a 95-gallon bin, one for solid waste, one for recycling. We will be working on a mechanism to pick up garbage cans and recycle cans if you want to get rid of the ones that you already have. That's something we will announce as it gets closer to the time that we deliver those receptacles to you. Bulk pickup must be scheduled. The number is on the website. We'll still do it, but you need to schedule that. And I think those are the main changes for next year. There was an initial thought of not picking up loose leaves. We've gone back on that and re-examined it and figured out that that was something that we will still continue to provide, but that, of course, isn't until next fall. So again, please refer to the Township website, Department of Public Works, if you're not sure which district you're in. It's either north or south of Cranberry Road. And the last thing I wanted to do is, I know that part of the reorganization meeting is for council to announce those people who are on boards and commissions that either require a council approval or mayor's appointment with a council approval. What isn't put into the public is those appointments that are made only by the mayor. So I just wanted to read into the minutes those individuals so that they're given the same amount of attention as those people that the council will be voting on this evening. So it's a lengthy list, but bear with me. On the Human Relations Council, we will be reappointing Elaine Risley, Tamara Faltos, Priya Kamari, Ward Robinson, Davi Sahani Gill, Iram Shakir, Frank Shen, and Nusrat Sohail. To the Library Board, we will be reappointing Ken Friedman, Colleen Talbot. To the Alliance for Alcoholism and Drug Abuse, Gabriella Paul, Darren File, Jean Christie, and Lori Herrick. To the Arts Commission, Elizabeth Gittleman, Elaine Risley, Howard Schmidt, Joseph Altman, and Cheryl Brass. To the Cable Advisory Committee, Stephen Dankowitz, and Judy Stein. To the Environmental Commission, Jacqueline Glaus, Liddy Haramati, David Moskowitz, and Barbara Wendell. To the Planning Department, or the Planning Board, Mohammed Hashmi, Adam Neary, Mary Pan, and Lawrence Reese. And finally, to the Traffic Advisory, Susan Streisand and Myra Becker. And I just want to congratulate and thank each of the individuals who I've mentioned and who you will be voting on this evening, because just as was mentioned earlier, the town runs not only by those people who have been elected to office, by the many, many, many people who participate in boards and commissions and councils here in the township. I think that's what makes us a well-rounded town with lots of interests, and it's not something that any one of us could do alone, but we do as a community. And so on behalf of, again, this body and myself, I want to thank all those residents who are willing to step up and put in time and contribute back to the township, because it pays dividends to us in terms of making the town just an incredibly great place to live. So thank you to all of you who are participating. And again, thank you, Council President.
And before I get to, you're welcome, Mayor Cohn. Before I get to Mr. Crisculo, seeing Mr. Cossack in the back of the courtroom here, if there is an emergency, okay, we are to exit through the two doors, and you may go either to the left or you may go to the right, as Mr. Cossack nods his head in agreement. Sorry, I did not announce that earlier. Mr. Crisculo, our business administrator.
Yes, on the recycling and trash collection, if you do use the Recycle Coach, it must be refreshed. There was a notice sent out through the Recycle Coach app, which is funded by the state, to refresh it because you won't get the new dates. So people last week that didn't refresh it put the recycling out on Thursday. Guess what? We don't pick up recycling on Thursdays. It's only Wednesdays that we pick up recycling. So please refresh that app, because if you don't, the data has been stored in cache and you won't get the proper dates. So you're either going to be Monday and Thursday or Tuesday and Friday for garbage collection, recycling every other Wednesday, and it depends if you're north or south of Cranberry Road. Please refresh that app so that you got the proper dates. That's all I have for this evening, Council President.
Thank you. Our township clerk, Ms. Lawful.
Attorney Anthony first.
Oh, I missed Anthony. Mr. Iacocca, our new attorney.
There's
Beg your
nothing
pardon.
to report at this time, Council President.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our township clerk.
I follow suit. I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Any council members with committee reports, board reports? Seeing none. Township clerk, will you please read our public comment statement?
The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. In accordance with NJSA 10:4-12A and the East Brunswick Rules of Council, the council asks the public to limit their comments to 5 minutes or less. At the conclusion of the statements or questions from a member of the public, the council president, at his discretion, may choose to respond, not respond, or to ask the administration to respond.
And when you arrive at the podium, please give us your name and your address, and I'll probably ask you to spell your last name. Does anyone wish to address the council president? Please.
My name is Atika Gunja, Ateka. Last name is Gunja. I reside at 68 Berkshire Way, East Brunswick. Okay. Does my time start now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, esteemed town council members, President McAvoy, and Mayor Cohen. We, concerned members of the community, return here tonight to follow up on the last town council meeting on December 26th, where I proposed a resolution for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Palestine. The town council decided not to put the resolution up for vote because, quote, they do not legislate foreign affairs, end quote. I wish to respond to the council that this decision is inaccurate, irresponsible, and unacceptable to me. In the time that has lapsed since the last council meeting 2 weeks ago, thousands more have perished by Israeli bombardment, and tens of thousands are now at risk of starvation, disease, and freezing cold conditions. Today marks day 94 of the assault on Gaza and the West Bank. And as we unconscionably marched forward towards the 100-day mark of Israeli aggression, the world continues to fail to secure a ceasefire for Gaza, due solely to the U.S.'s veto in the UN Security Council, which they have abused in defiance of the rest of the world for 4 times. In the time that has lapsed since the town council thwarted our efforts for peace and has taken no action on this pressing global humanitarian issue, the lives of millions of innocent civilians, half of them children, continue to remain at risk. Now, 23 UN and NGO agencies have found that the entire population of Gaza, 2.3 million people, are facing food crisis and are at imminent risk of famine. The head of the World Food Program, Arif Hussein, said, "It doesn't get any worse than this. I have never seen something at the scale that this is happening in Gaza and at this speed. How quickly it has happened in just a matter of months. It is a situation where pretty much everybody in Gaza is hungry." The council says it does not get involved with international affairs. Well, that position is questionable. In April and December 2022, the council signed proclamations to become sister cities with Rivne, Ukraine, and Yavne, Israel. Both proclamations were not merely cultural gestures, but had explicit political basis. For Rivne, Ukraine, we sought to help a sister city during wartime. Mayor Cohen then stated, quote, "It will actually help us to get supplies and donations to Ukraine a little bit more expeditiously. It's just another thing to have with another town that has and shares interests, especially now that they are in need," end quote. In Yavne, Israel, Mayor Cohen said that most foreign policy starts at a very granular level, and similar interests and sister city agreements help to develop bonds with people of similar interests living in different places. Furthermore, the township has sponsored Support Ukraine events, made official statements about October 7th events, and Mayor Cohen even held a vigil for Israel at EBJC on October 9th. Therefore, in just the past year, we have many glaring examples of the council taking an official role in foreign matters. Again, we reject the notion by the council last meeting that this issue is a Jewish or Muslim issue. You will clearly see tonight that the call for ceasefire is a humanitarian issue encompassing every walk of life, including Jews and Israelis calling for ceasefire, and endorsed by 153 countries of this world with their vote in the UN General Assembly. Just this Thursday and Friday, January 11th and 12th, we will have a historic hearing by South Africa at the ICJ, the World Court, the highest court of the world, even higher than ICC, invoking genocide against Israel. We reject any notion that our community is split over this issue. Yes, there may be a very loud, vocal faction against ceasefire in our community, but national polling data clearly shows that 66 to 70%, a vast majority of Americans want ceasefire, and it's even higher among Democrats. Therefore, it is safe to say that the majority of our town and New Jersey want a ceasefire. You, as our elected officials, even at the local level, and I would argue that this is the most important level, have a sworn duty to represent us and an ethical responsibility to vote for an immediate ceasefire. I'll yield my time. Thank you. If I may present, this is on behalf of our contingency. Sorry, to the officer. This is for the council members. Thank you.
That's good, thank you. Anyone wish to address the council president?
On that side also. Good evening, Honorable Counsel.
Your name, your address, and please spell it.
Norman Finkelstein, 32 Putnam Road, East Brunswick.
Thank you.
Did you want
You're
to
good, yeah.
spell? Okay. Honorable Counsel, this is growing old, not just because we had to come here 2 weeks ago to have this conversation. Maybe if this is going to continue, we should all submit papers. But really because it was from the 1930s through the mid-40s, various groups, the KKK, the Bund, the Lindbergh's pro-Nazi party, got together and covered themselves in banners of peace and talked about ceasefires in Germany and accused the Jews of perpetrating aggression against Germany. This is very similar. The October 7th attack was an attack in the middle of a ceasefire. There was a ceasefire in place, and Gaza attacked unprovoked. The October 7th attack was specifically genocidal, taking over 26 residential areas, taking captives, and then murdering these, torturing and murdering these captives one after the other. The Hamas government of Gaza, specifically Ghazi Hamad, on an October 24th interview with Lebanese TV, said that he was proud of the effects of October 7th, and he said it would continue on and on, as he said, until the millionth of October, until all of Israel is annihilated. That's 7 million Jews, 2 million Arabs. And we know for a fact that they're going to attack Israeli Arabs as well, because the videos that Hamas presented showed them killing Israeli Arabs in these villages. This call for a ceasefire, if they were genuinely interested in peace, they would have talked about Darfur, where there's a genocide going on, a genuine genocide where people are being captured and buried alive. They would have talked about any of a number of persecutions, China, etc. They would have come every year when Gaza broke the ceasefire with new bombings, new attacks on Israel. But they didn't. In fact, that's a 16-year war when you have an ongoing, repeating, yearly ceasefire followed by an attack from Gaza. And then Israel again giving a ceasefire, and again an attack coming. And in fact, it really goes back to Oslo in the early 90s. And a lot of these organizations which have organized these peace protests, if you go back and you look at where they come from, there was a recent article in the New Yorker interviewing the founders of SJP, the student organization who leads the college protests. And they said, with no shame, they admitted it's part of their plan, that they were founded to oppose Oslo, to oppose the peace process, to oppose any legitimation of any Jewish presence in the Middle East, to eliminate the Jews in the Middle East. So this is a sham. This is an excuse, and I hope the community will see it for what it is and reject this petition. In the alternative, if a ceasefire petition should be voted on, I would like for that petition, for that resolution to include the demand for the release of the hostages beforehand, and for the retrieval and surrender for trial and of all of those who perpetrated the October 7th attack. And in case people on this side are interested, there was actually a phone number provided. Yahya Sinwar was one of the organizers of the attack. I can give his phone number. It was actually given out in the UN session. And he is the guy to talk to for a real ceasefire. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Sir.
Good evening. Khalid Zayed, last name Zayed. I'm a resident of Piscataway. I'm a Palestinian American and have been living in Piscataway for the past 12 years. And my family, as I mentioned last time, is from the West Bank in occupied Palestine. And my dad was pushed out of Palestine after 1967 war, which Israel invaded the West Bank and captured that area from the Jordanians in 1967, and my dad became a refugee. And until today, my dad is not allowed to go back to live in his hometown. I'm here today because I'm here again to ask for a ceasefire, because ceasefire, as my good friend here mentioned last time, he said ceasefire basically meaning we stop bloodshed. We are asking for the bloodshed to stop. We are asking that the people of Gaza have been dying every single hour. At least one child, Palestinian child, is getting killed, and one child is getting injured in Gaza. The previous speaker said something about the call for ceasefire is getting old, but I'd like to remind him and remind everyone that the occupation of Palestine is getting old. Palestinian people have been under brutal military occupation since 1967. Israel was founded in 1948 on 78% of historic Palestine. The Palestinians have already accepted two-state solution under the Oslo Agreement in 1993. Israel have yet to allow the Palestinians to have their own state. Israeli settlers, illegal settlers who come from different places like Brooklyn, New Jersey, all over, they come to the West Bank, my area, and they take our homes, and just because they happen to be Jews. We have good Jewish friends here that stand with the Palestinian people and stand for justice for Palestine. We know that East Brunswick Council, City Council, will not be able to bring an end to this so-called conflict or war or genocide, but at least the council will be able to send a message tonight by calling for ceasefire. We're not asking the council to take a side, whether the Israelis or Palestinians. We are asking the city council members to pass a resolution calling for a ceasefire. Half of Gaza is already destroyed. Over 130 mosques in Gaza have been destroyed. About 26 hospitals are out of service in Gaza. About 2 or 3 churches have been bombed in Gaza by the Israeli military. And the only cancer center, according to Dr. Ben Thompson, he's a Canadian doctor, he visited Gaza, the only cancer center in Gaza has been destroyed. The only senior place for I believe senior center is also been destroyed. So many hospitals, so many clinics, so many places has nothing to do with Hamas. Residential areas, buildings have been destroyed. This problem, again, as I mentioned, did not start on October 7. This problem started with the occupation of Palestine in 1948. Gaza has been under air, land, and sea blockade since 2007. And nothing goes into Gaza or comes out of Gaza without the permission of the State of Israel, the Israeli military. So everybody, the other side would like you to believe that this entire problem started on October 7. Did not. This year, last year, 2023, before October 7, almost 300 Palestinian civilians have been killed by the Israeli military in the West Bank alone. And nobody talks about that. There's also this lie that they always spread out. They say that, children were beheaded, women were raped. If this is true, it's awful. I'll be the first one to condemn it. But it's not true, because even the Israeli newspaper, the Haaretz, just a few days ago, published an article. They said the Israeli police are having difficulty locating victims of sexual assault or witnesses to acts from the Hamas attack. And they are unable to connect the existing evidence with the victims described in it. Now, 3 months after the massacre, the organization decided to turn to the public, meaning the police, Israeli police, turn to the public to encourage those who have information on the matter to come and testify. Max Blumenthal, a Jewish American investigative journalist. You can look up his website, The Gray Zone. He says Israel's military received orders to shell Israeli
Time has
homes.
expired, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Leslie Listwa, Listwa, 5 Lefferts Court, East Brunswick. I'd like to thank the mayor for our garbage collection. Seriously, it was a long time in coming. And that's what I thought these meetings were kind of about. I'm kind of shocked at what's going on here. Honestly, this is a PR event. It's wasting, I'm a resident of this town. I'm not on, yes, I have sides, but I'm not representing one side or the other. I'm just a resident of the town, and this is not what's supposed to be happening at this meeting. This is an organized group that have come to our town. How many people live in this town? Can you raise your hand?
Excuse me, sir?
Yeah, oh, I'm
You
sorry.
will address
I'll address.
Council President.
I address, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry.
Excuse.
I'm just very, very upset that I live in this town and we're wasting taxpayers' money with police, emergency management, your time for a PR event. And believe me, this is terrible that people are dying on both sides, but this is not supposed to be discussed here. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you for your time. My name is Joshua Zook, that's Z-U-K. I am a Jewish resident of Highland Park. I attended a K-12 Jewish day school growing up, and I lived in Israel for 3 months when I did a semester in Israel in 2009. I was a strong and vocal supporter of the State of Israel for most of my life. And I am here tonight to call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza, and to ask the Council to support the resolution calling for a ceasefire. The reason I'm calling for a ceasefire is I believe in the idea of never again. The idea that after the events of the Holocaust, we must speak out to stop any future genocide. When I hear never again, and when I say never again, I mean never again for anyone, not only for the Jewish people. I have heard claims that Israel's actions in Gaza do not fit the definition of genocide because Israel does everything it can to avoid civilian casualties, and that the deaths of civilians that do occur are unavoidable. But the statements that Israeli officials have made in the past months suggest that avoiding harm to civilians is not the goal of the Israeli military. On October 13th, the Israeli president, Isaac Herzog, said about the events of October 7th that, quote, "It is an entire nation that is responsible," and, quote, "It is not true this rhetoric about civilians not being aware, not involved." On October 9th, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said, quote, "We are imposing a complete siege of Gaza. There will be no electricity, no food, no water, no fuel. Everything will be closed." End quote. "We are fighting human animals and we act accordingly." The UN definition of genocide is any of 5 specific, quote, "acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group." These 5 acts are killing members of the group, causing them serious bodily or mental harm, imposing living conditions intended to destroy the group, preventing births, and forcibly transferring children out of the group. What Israel is doing in Gaza fits this definition and is a textbook case of genocide. And I refuse to be silent as a Jew while a genocide is being perpetrated in my name. I understand that the Council would like to avoid speaking on international affairs, but please know that the events taking place in Gaza personally affect people here in the city of East Brunswick. And so I ask the East Brunswick City Council to please support this resolution calling for a ceasefire. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. My name is Mark Mellinger, Mellingger. I live in 3 Pilgrim Run in East Brunswick. Thank you, members of the Town Council, for the opportunity to speak. I stand in opposition to the council taking a position on the war between Israel and Hamas. This is not the role of this council, or for that matter, any town council to take a position on this matter. The responsibility of U.S. foreign policy lies in Washington, D.C., in the role of the U.S. President, his administration, and members of Congress. If the pro-Palestinian groups are truly seeking change, then their voices should be directed at our elected leaders in Washington, not in blocking bridges and roads in New York, not in blocking traffic to JFK or LAX, and certainly not in this town council meeting. That being said, I want to make clear that whatever side of this conflict you fall on, whether you're a Jewish, Muslim, Christian, agnostic, or atheist, we all have the right to express our views as Americans in a civil and respectful manner. That is the core of our system of governance, and it should be protected. The conflict in the Middle East is a human tragedy. It began on October 7th with the invasion and slaughter by Hamas of over 1,200 Israelis and others, including 30 Americans, and tragically the taking of 240 Israelis and others hostage, including about a dozen Americans. Many of those Americans remain in captivity. All of us, as Americans, should be calling on Hamas and other groups like Palestinian Islamic Jihad to release our citizens. I expect that this will not be the last time that you as a council will have to address the conflict in the Middle East. The passions on both sides will not soon abate. So I ask you to continue to do the responsible thing and to not take a position on the war and to let our elected leaders in Washington to do their job. Thank you.
Sir.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful.
Your name and address, and please
My
spell
name
it.
is Hassan Sayin, S-A-Y-I-N. I reside at 432 Mead Court, East Brunswick. I was not alive during the 9/11 attacks, but for the longest time now, I have grown up surrounded by offensive remarks about my religion and about my people. Terrorism, bombings, murder, all associated with my religion. Things said to my face, but passed off as jokes. It is with much regret that I am seeing the effects of these events in the town I have lived in since I was 2 years old. Many people I have come across are always shocked by the fact that I'm a Muslim. The same cannot be said about my sister, though. She has taken the courage to put on her headscarf, her hijab, a symbol of Islam, in an environment where young teenagers learn about other cultures and religions through their friends and what they see online, growing up with false perceptions of who we are. I want to refer to a comment made by one of the previous speakers saying that this is a PR stunt. I find that highly insensitive, as 2 weeks ago, amidst all the tension going on around the world after the October 7th events, whilst my sister was in her class, the only one with her headscarf on, with her hijab on, 3 insensitive boys sitting behind her made comments about Muslims and my religion, and thus her directly, as she is the only one in the class. "What do Muslims believe in anyway?" one of them said. To which the other responded, "I don't know, but they're all Muslim, hijabi, terrorist bombers." My family moved here from New York in 2008. What attracted them? The beautiful nature we have in this town, the greenery, the community and environment which East Brunswick has such a great reputation for, and the peace it brings to us as its residents. I've played soccer for a local club, EBSC, since I was a kid. And it never occurred to me then, but now when I think about it, I recognize how diverse our team was and how close we all were, not just the relationship with each other as players, but the relationship between our parents. I think it is only appropriate as East Brunswick that within the tranquility of our beautiful town, we can reside with each other, setting aside our differences and being an example for other cities and towns around us by upholding justice and recognizing the effect silence has on us as students. I am one of the presidents of the East Brunswick Muslim Student Association in the high school. Aside from my sister, I've heard also a lot of stories of comments made to my Muslim friends. I'm a senior in high school, but I don't want to have to worry about what I'm leaving behind me. I don't want to have to worry about who's going to make comments about my friends. My mother also wears her hijab. As a son, I don't want to worry about whether she's going to have to face remarks outside when she goes out to shop. As a brother, I never want to have to worry about someone making those comments to my sister again, while she's the only one in the classroom with a headscarf on. This may not affect you, but it definitely affects us as students. And the fact that some people call this a PR stunt is embarrassing. And it's highly insensitive, because many of you guys as parents have children in the school. And I'm sure you would not want these remarks being made about your children either. I want East Brunswick to be a town which I can be proud of, which represents justice and leads other towns in New Jersey in doing so. Thank you.
Your time has expired, sir. I'll pull in next. You take your time, sir.
Name is Ralph Rosenbaum, Rosenbaum. I am at 15 Stockton Court in East Brunswick. I don't even know what to say. I can start going into the reasons between Israel, Palestine. I'm not good. It's not for this council to decide, in my opinion. I can say that Hamas started the whole thing. I'm going to hush up. I'm just going to say we're lucky to live in the United States. And I don't believe East Brunswick is the place for any international resolution to be brought up. And to be honestly, I think the township should make a resolution that if you're not an East Brunswick resident, you should not be allowed to speak in front of the council. I really don't think that's proper, because in this case, we have other people speaking here. The gentleman that just spoke, I am very sorry that there's still prejudice, it used to be blacks, used to be Jews, and now it's Muslims. That's very wrong. It is wrong to happen. But basically what I wanted to say is that this is not a place for the township to act, to even vote on, period. Let the U.S. government go crazy on it, not you guys. Thank you.
Sir.
Good evening. Sami Kadovic. I'm the Executive Director of the New Brunswick Islamic Center, located in North Brunswick. A significant portion of our community is located here in East Brunswick.
Is that where you live in New Brunswick?
I'm in Franklin Park. Thank you for giving me this opportunity this evening. This resolution that's being proposed is not so much an issue of resolving the conflict that's going overseas. It's more of making a statement of who we are as Americans here. I was born in Teaneck, New Jersey. I'm a product of the Teaneck public school systems. We were one of the first schools, I believe, in the nation, at least this is what we were told, that had a Holocaust and Genocide Center in our high school. When I was going through high school, we were studying the Bosnian Genocide, which was taking place at that time. My father was a victim of the Bosnian Genocide that took place in the 1940s, where his entire family was massacred due to extreme nationalist, religious, Serbian extremism. the product of education that I got in TNEC, in the Genocide and Cultural Center at that time, because we used what was going around us to understand what is taking place. And we used the lessons that we learned about genocide and applied it to the situation at hand. We learn these things and we teach our students and our kids these things so that we make sure these things don't happen here in the United States and we don't allow these things to come in. What is taking place now in Israel affects us here as Americans, in this council, in this township, in this state. Because where we stand on this issue, which most likely in a couple of days, we're going to see people brought before the International Court of Justice and be charged with genocide. And if we don't have the courage and the moral framework to tell our children that we stand against genocide, when the world, and we see Bibi Netanyahu and his lot being brought before as Mladic and Milosevic and Karadzic and those from the Bosnian genocide, by the way, whose remarks and intent was not even a fraction of what's being said over there. We are Americans. We are Americans. We can't let what is going on by this extreme government over there dictate our morality over here. And to say it is not our place to have a position on this. We don't have a position on genocide? We don't have a position on genocide? Is this what we're telling our children? It is utterly important and crucial. Yes, this is not going to resolve the conflict over there, but it will be telling our children and what we're raising in that this is an unacceptable way to move forward in any conflict, that genocide is unacceptable. And that's why this ceasefire resolution is of the utmost importance for us here as Americans, not to resolve the conflict over there. Nobody's foolish to think that. We know where that goes to play. But we need to understand that that's our role here, that we make sure that we protect our society and send a message to our community here that this is unacceptable. And we will call it out as Americans, that that is our moral framework. And we don't allow international war criminals that are operating over there who talk about genocide and dehumanization, defining who we are. We're Americans. Let's uphold our moral authority and let's uphold what we stand for here and not let foreign governments determine who we are. So yes, we should be standing for the ceasefire resolution for the sake of the education of our children here in the United States and for sending us a message that this is unacceptable from us as Americans. We thank you so much for this evening and for this opportunity.
We're at the 45-minute mark with regard to this particular open debate, which is the beauty of our country with regard to the First Amendment of the Constitution. However, I'm going to go with two more speakers from the Jewish community and two pro-Palestinian speakers, and then that will conclude this evening. Please.
My name is Joelle Yavin, Y-A-V-I-N. I live at 4 Mount Court in East Brunswick. I hadn't planned on speaking tonight because there are many who are perhaps more qualified. I'm not great at spouting statistics, but I cannot also hear things being said that are absolute lies. To say that there was no rape on October 7th is abhorrent. It is, as a woman, to hear if there was rape, if there was beheading. The New York Times spent 2 months and did an investigative report, and I encourage everyone to read it. There were rapes, there were beheadings. And to say that there weren't does not take us any closer to a ceasefire. Let's be clear. To say that things that happened on October 7th did not happen does not bring us any closer to a ceasefire. Some of the speakers tonight actually spoke about something that does impact East Brunswick, and that is hatred. It pains me to hear of the Islamophobia that my friend, and I will call you my friend, that his sister encountered. I will tell you that my 9-year-old encountered something similar in an East Brunswick school. a 9-year-old, 4th grade. Someone said to him, because he's the only visibly Jewish kid in his school, meaning he wears a kippah and he wears the tzitzit, the fringes, you know? I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Someone went up to him and said, "Are you Israeli?" And he said, "What's that thing you wear on your head?" And his peer said, "Oh, he wears that because he's Jewish for his religion." So the kid said, "Are you Israeli?" My son said, "No." And the kid said, "Are you Jewish?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "Why did Israel start the war?" My son, when I picked him up that day, said to me, "Ima," that's Hebrew for mom, "did Israel start the war?" I was like, that's not a "how was your day" response. That shocked me and pained me in the same way it pains me when anyone receives any type of hatred. A few weeks later, the same child asked him, why don't the Jewish people follow the Muslim God like they were told to? That has no place in the classroom. And the principal agreed with me, and hopefully that won't happen again. That is something that impacts on East Brunswick, has nothing to do with the ceasefire. To say lies has nothing to do with the ceasefire. That's what I have to say tonight. To say 94 days since Israel has been bombing Gaza, 94 days that hostages are still being held in Gaza. And as one of my friends over here said, there can be no talk of a ceasefire while there are still hostages in Gaza. It is not the place, as you have said, of this committee, of this council, to vote or take resolutions on international issues. And I understand that we want to make a difference locally, but it is not the place for us to vote on a ceasefire. And I wonder, are we going to keep coming back to every council meeting you have and spending 45 minutes or longer? For how long? Until you're bullied into taking a resolution? Because I can imagine none of you are happy having to sit through this yet again. That's really all I have to say. I yield my time.
Please.
Hello, everybody, and good evening. My name is Nusrat Sohail, and I live on 18th Brook Hill Road, East Brunswick. I am going to be speaking as a common resident of East Brunswick and how this conflict is impacting all of us, not just me. I came to East Brunswick 25 years ago, and my 2 children grew up here. They went to East Brunswick High School. And we opted to live in this town right from the time we landed here because we loved the diversity, the openness, the fair community. Our neighbors were very open to us, and we decided to live here. And since the day we arrived here, we opted to stay in this town. After that, when I felt that town is giving me and my family so much, I need to give back, and I joined Township's Human Relation Council. And from more than 16 years, I've been serving on it. I'm one of the oldest members on East Brunswick Council. And then I started to do more community service, and when Mayor Cohen started his campaign to run for to be a mayor, I introduced him to our Muslim community and brought him to the masjid to support him because we believed in his. I believed in him because I have worked with him before in EBHRC Council. So this little scenario that I'm giving you, I'm just trying to give you my briefing, and I believed in our township's leadership. I believed in what you all have done so far, and I felt that, you know, as a Muslim family, I was accepted. During 9/11, when we were new in this country, my neighbors, the community leadership, schools, everyone supported us, and we felt what all other Muslims were feeling in the country. We did not feel the similar fear and similar confusion in the town. Now, coming back to this particular incident, I felt what others were feeling during 9/11, and we did not feel it because our neighbors were great, our township's leadership was great. But now, at this point, we have started to feel that confusion in our town because when we go to the market, if we are wearing hijab, we are looked down upon. People stare at us. And there are so many Islamophobic incidents that are starting in different parts of the country. A child was stabbed in Chicago. Just recently, an imam in Newark is shot dead. So I just feel that these Islamophobic incidents that are happening in all other places, they may come in our town. And just before that would happen, I would prefer that our township's council would see what's really happening, and instead of dividing, their role should be to bring us back together and unite us, as during the time of 9/11 that had happened. I prefer our council, or I request our council to do the right thing. What's happening in Middle East, it's really, really impacting us here, and unite us by signing this petition or signing this a resolution that we are asking for. And this way, the two sides that we are seeing visibly, they may come together, because Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, they are all the same thing. The leadership just needs to see what is the right decision to make. Thank you.
Did I see one? Okay, just one more, please. Gentlemen, then, come over.
Thank you. I am Art Kagel, Kagel. I live at 222 Dunham's Corner Road. My family has been resident here in East Brunswick for 34 years. January 15th will mark the beginning of our 25th year here. This has always been, as I spoke and mentioned the last time this meeting happened, very proud of this community, of its diversity, of the people who live here, of the acceptance of Jews and religious Jews and Muslims and everybody else in this community. I want to address many things, but first of all, I want to say that the horrific treatment that our neighbor's sister and himself have experienced, the horrific treatment that the Yavin's son has experienced in school, is not acceptable, as has already been mentioned. I know that the administration of the school is aware, but I think it's incumbent on this council and on the mayor to more strongly support the efforts of the school to ensure that everyone is safe and feels safe in our schools, in our community, in all of our institutions. That is the first thing. That is the most important thing. This community cannot change. We raised our children here. Two of my children are raising their children here. This has been a wonderful community, and it needs to remain so. And there should be no animosity between any groups here based on honest feelings and honest concerns about what's going on in the Middle East and elsewhere. I think that there can be no call for a ceasefire without also condemning what happened on October 7th. And I have heard nobody speaking from the other side saying that this is a horrible thing. And it was a horrible thing to have happened, not just to the 1,200 people who died, not just to the 240 plus people who were were held hostage, or the 100 some odd who are still being held hostage. It was a horrible thing for humanity, and for Israelis, and for Americans, and for everybody. And just to put that aside for a moment, Joel addressed the claim that things didn't happen, but those were things that were documented. They, as Joel said, that been reported by the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal after extensive investigative reporting, and documented not by Jews, not by Americans, not by journalists, documented by Hamas people themselves, taking pictures on their own phones so they could send them to their parents about how proud they were to have destroyed people, raped women, beheaded children. This is not acceptable human behavior. That said, that has nothing to do with any of the people in this room. It has nothing to do with any of the people in this community. We are a community of decent people who should be supporting each other. And I think there's nothing else that needs to be said on that. And as the council has already stated previously, it's not the position of this council to pass resolutions that affect the federal government of the United States. And I think the last thing I want to say is, if you want to call for a ceasefire, you should remember that the last ceasefire, when negotiations were still going on to release more hostages and continue the ceasefire, it did not end because Israel ended it. It did not end because the two parties agreed to end it. It ended because Hamas began lobbing missiles again. So, thank you.
We're going one more, and this gentleman with the mask on, he had his hand up for the last 12 minutes.
My name is Aaron Bierstein. I live in South Brunswick, and I'm here today representing the Democratic Socialists of America Central New Jersey chapter, of which we have many members. I recognize that it is not this council responsible for U.S. foreign policy, and yet your voices here do carry a moral weight with the citizens of East Brunswick, with Central New Jersey, with New Jersey as a whole, and in this country. I believe that you were all elected as members of the Democratic Party. I may be mistaken, but I know certainly the majority. It is under a Democratic president and a Democratic administration that the United States is continuing to support the mass murder of people in Gaza. The people did not elect you only for your own individual merits, which I'm sure are great, but they elected you as members of that party because they believe that the Democratic Party is a party committed to justice, fairness, and what is right. But the leadership at the top has shown us, in their support for this massacre, this continuing massacre, that they would prefer to be the party of death and destruction. Therefore, I ask you, as Democrats, for the people who voted for you and support you in this community, speak up to let your own party know, if you wish to save it, that you do not stand for this, that this does not represent the position of East Brunswick, of Central New Jersey, or the people of this community. I was raised in the Jewish community of Central New Jersey. My own family is Israeli. The majority of them live there. But right is right and wrong is wrong, and the continued murder of people, thousands, tens of thousands, of innocent people who had nothing to do with this, many of them children. Everybody here today asks you to speak with one voice that carries weight. Because if our elected officials can stand for this, they can stand for anything and nothing. And that cannot be. Our entire system of government depends on the people that we put in our communities into positions of power to speak with moral clarity. And we are asking you to do that here today. Thank you.
I first spoke on December 12th with regards to this governing body would not be dealing with legislating international issues. I then said again at our December 26th meeting, twice during the course of the evening. Our governing body deals with issues regarding the welfare of the township, and we do not legislate international issues. And I repeated myself again at that same meeting, and I thought my words were very clear. So I will say it one more time. Our governing body deals with issues regarding the welfare of the township of East Brunswick, and we do not legislate international issues. At this point, we're going to take a recess so that our friends, because there's no sides here, our friends can make their way home after an evening of governance, and then we can get back to we have a rather lengthy style of play. So recess for 10. We have a resolution. We're back. We're back. Anthony, you with us?
Yes, sir.
We have a resolution requiring a separate vote.
Council President?
No.
I ask the council to pull this resolution
Oh.
from the agenda as it is no longer needed.
Okay. And before we head over to our consent agenda, before I ask for separations, we have before us a series of resolutions awarding contracts for various legal and professional services for our community, from Resolution 2406 through 2448. Mr. Chris Gould, do we have to name any names here? We're good.
No.
We're good. Resolution,
Well, there is a revision to 2412 that the clerk had provided each of you on the naming of the township engineer. There'll be a primary and alternate, that's all.
all right, so why don't we go with,
2463.
yeah, but I was going to 48, then I was coming back because the resolutions radically differ from 24, like 06 to 56. So if I'm incorrect, please correct me as I make my way down this.
From my opinion, these are all housekeeping issues
It's
that we do every year to just keep the wheels of government moving.
So can I get a motion from, can I go as far as saying 2406 through 2456?
I would make the motion.
Okay, can I get a motion on that?
I'll second.
And a second? Roll call, please.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zimbicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. We have an ordinance for introduction with public hearing set for January 22nd. Township Clerk, can you read that?
An ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limit and to establish a cap bank in accordance with NJSA 48:4-45.14 for calendar year 2024.
And Mr. Chris can you explain anything that might be
Yes, this is the
needed?
yearly cap bank ordinance that we pass every year, as long as I've been here, and I know, checking with others, that it was passed since the cap bank establishment was created. This doesn't mean there's a tax increase. This doesn't, I know there were some things put out years ago. This is just authorizing the town to establish a bank from the cap of prior years and keep it as a bank in case it is necessary in the future, and to exceed that appropriation if necessary. So this is just this is required by New Jersey state law.
If I may, I just.
Please.
John, it's a good description. I just like to simplify it. This is the additional cap that we do not use. This is the amount that our budget is under cap, and we can carry that until next year, should there be emergency appropriations that are necessary.
Or any appropriation, doesn't have to
Right.
be an emergency. Yes, absolutely.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes. No, you have to motion. Yeah.
We did not?
Oh, no?
Thank you.
I'll move.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Wendell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Winston?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zibicki?
Yes.
And Council President McAvoy?
Yes. And there's sometimes when aren't there sometimes when we don't have motions for resolutions that are new?
No, we always.
No, we always do?
Yeah.
Yes.
I get corrected on something, I just can't remember what it is. Man,
That's a block.
place emptied out, huh?
Thanks, Maureen, for staying.
Maybe they all went home to watch the football game or something. Right. For the good of the cause.
Michigan is winning 17-10.
Wow.
Who is?
Michigan.
17-10? We'll take care of you, Maureen. Mayor?
I know that most people have left, well, all of them have left. But just to kind of highlight what we are as a town, I wanted to talk about someone who came into my office today as someone who is part of the Jewish community, an older woman who is contemplating moving, unrelated to any of the stuff going on overseas. It's just personal financial type of issues. She was asking for advice and information on apartment prices. And what she told me was that she has several neighbors of hers, Muslim, that for years they just do exactly what we in East Brunswick have been known for, to be a diverse community that helps one another. We don't always have to agree, but they, because she's older and because it's difficult for her to move those heavy garbage cans in and out, they move her garbage cans in and out for her. They bring foods during different holidays back and forth to one another. They have been great neighbors, and I think that despite what people may have seen tonight, that actually defines what East Brunswick is and how people get along and support one another, and not when people come out during periodic episodes in world events that cause conflicts, where we may not all agree, when we don't have to. But it shouldn't ever change what we are as a character, as a people, and as a community. I think that demonstrates what we are more than what we may have seen tonight.
Agree. Maureen? I know.
Hi, I wanted to say thank you. My name is Maureen McVeigh Burzak, 53 Louise Drive, East Brunswick, but I'm here to represent tonight Tap Into East Brunswick, your local online news publication. And I know your experience tonight is one thing, but my experience as a journalist is a completely different thing. And it's exciting to be in a second career and see in one town so many different things happening as a journalist, and to see the redevelopment and its impact on all of suburbia, to see that Duck Donuts gets 200,000 hits on Facebook, all right? Everything from that to pickleball to international concerns reaching into small towns, and finalists on American Idol, and Dalmatians winning international competitions. And you never really know where the news is going to go. And I thank you very much on behalf of myself and the owner of the East Brunswick small business that is Tap Into East Brunswick, Rob Riccozzi, who is in Florida mourning the Dolphins today. I just want to let you know that there are 97 TAPs. TAP means the alternative press, TAP. There are 97 taps in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Florida. The one in Florida opened on Parkland, in Parkland, Florida, on the day of the Parkland shootings. We go every day to 3,000 homes in East Brunswick in a daily email. This is a daily newspaper. We send out 27 news alerts. When you send out a report from the police department or from you guys or from the Department of Parks, we send it out again, and 2,700 more people, I'm sure there's some overlap, get it. The business model for TAP is that the main reporter has to be a resident of the town that's represented. And I've been really proud to do that. Dana, you'll understand this because you live in East Brunswick, but when you teach in a town, you kind of identify with that town a little bit. So for 26 years of my living, 34 years in East Brunswick, my head was in Piscataway. But now in my retirement, I'm all East Brunswick all the time. And it's very pleasing to see the growth of government and the change that has to happen in journalism. I want to let you know that 1,400,000 people read articles about East Brunswick on TAP last year. That makes us the 5th of 97 TAPs that's most read on Facebook, and that the stories that we put out are objective, and my opinion doesn't matter. And that's a good thing. And I wanted to say thank you on behalf of this East Brunswick small business for allowing us to be your voice online. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Maureen.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Hang on,
Hey, oh, I'm sorry.
one last thing.
Yep.
Everyone was busy before, so I didn't have a chance to do this, and I always think that people who impact you positively and work really hard need some public admiration, and I'm going to give you that right now. I gave some love to Dana before, but I did write up a little thing for you about your reelection to council president. And I wrote, Council President McAvoy, congratulations on being chosen to serve a second year as president of our council. Because of your fantastic leadership, our team here is functional, collaborative, and without fail, you always communicate and discuss situations and events and value our input. And though the public may not realize this, you are the front line and you question everything brought forth. You're a filter to ensure that we are making the best decisions for our taxpayers and our township. And I thank you and congratulations.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Good evening.